7 o'clock straight up. So we'll start the meeting. As always, when we're talking about the paranormal, we're talking about a lot of things that are controversial, things where there are no real true experts, and there are a lot of things that really are unknown about what we're talking about. So some people will have different opinions than other people. They'll have different ideas, and they may firmly believe it, everything that they believe, based on their personal experience, which is what I base mine on too, my personal experience. I can believe what's happened to me, where I can't believe some of the stories I hear, some of the pictures I see, and I don't know what somebody else has done with them. So with that said, take everything in as being enlightening for you. I learn something new every day. I promise you, every day I pick up something new, a bunch of new things. So with that said, if you'll be tolerant, listen to what's said, you're going to get some ideas. You're going to have some thoughts. You could try to think back in your experiences, compare with mine, and maybe come to some new conclusions. With that said, we were supposed to have Magrid Birdsong on tonight, who is a practicing witch. She lives in Texas, down near Corpus Christi. I've known her for about 2 decades. She called this afternoon at 4 o'clock, about 3 hours ago, said, "John, I can't make it tonight. I'm in the ER with my sister, and my sister's having some issues." And so anyway, she's going to be with us next week. She's agreed to come back next Sunday. If you're tuning in for our session with the witch, that will be September the 3rd. What we're going to do tonight then, I've got an issue that came up today I'd like to discuss with everybody and throw it out for everybody, and also maybe make a public announcement about it. Coming up October the 13th in Galveston, Texas, we're going to have a ghost hunt. There's going to be 2 haunted locations. One is the Lee Kipner Mansion, and the other location is Lucas Terrace Apartments. Are they haunted? Well, we're going to find out on October the 13th. We've been invited to join the Spooky Galveston Ghost Tours. At pay, go ahead. I prefer to be staff myself, so I would rather show people how to use some of the tools and be there. And we're going to have some time when we're setting up, I'm sure, so that we can go through those locations and do our thing there too. But anyway, thing about October the 13th, I knew it rang a bell and I couldn't figure out what it was, and suddenly it dawned on me. Well, it's Friday, October the 13th. So Friday the 13th is part of what triggered my memory. But Friday the 13th is considered a bad luck day. And the reason it started as a bad luck day was October the 13th, a Friday, in 1307. And that's when the Pope and King Philip of France turned on the Knights Templar because they owed the Knights a lot of money. And so they came and arrested all the Knights and threw them in prison and tried to execute all of them. Now, some of them fled, and they lasted for some time after the 1300s, but somehow in history they've kind of disappeared. Now, the Masons still have a group within the Masons that are called the Knights Templar. Whether or not they're related or have anything to do with the real Knights Templar, I do not know. I'm not a Mason, never been a Mason, and if I was, I probably couldn't tell you. So anyway, they are a secret organization. At this location, it's going to be that they've got some psychic mediums. They're telling me they're going to have 16 psychic mediums there that are going to do tarot card readings and psychic readings for the public that comes by, and that these readings are free. Now, the proceeds from all of this are going to go to the Lee Kipner Mansion. The Lee Kipner Mansion is a 501c3 organization. They're trying to restore this historic house in Galveston, which I think is a worthy cause. And we've done some graveyard restorations and some other restorations around. And I feel like that this is an opportunity for us to help out. And not only that, but this God, I've forgotten her name now. She owns Spooky Galveston, but she just bought out last year Dash Beardsley's Ghost Tours. And we've known Dash Beardsley for 20 years. So, and so I'm kind of sad to see him go, but at the same time, it's an opportunity to meet a newcomer that's running the old ghost tours there, and to make friends with new people and to reestablish ourselves in Galveston. So anyway, I think this is an excellent opportunity to volunteer. I'm looking for, as many people as we can get to go and assist us with this operation. I'm hoping to get, 5 people besides myself, and see if we can't do something to represent Paranormal Houston Investigation. I'm supposed to be getting some more information. I do not have the addresses for these facilities yet, and I do not have a start time as yet. So anyway, you want to be marking October 13th on your calendar, and it probably need to leave for Galveston sometime around noon, kind of roughly figuring on it. So that's an update on where we are tonight. Not having a guest tonight, I thought I would share one of my spooky stories with y'all. And I had shared it a little bit with Bubba just before we started. Bubba's going to ask questions if they come up. If I leave something open, he's going to ask. But anyway, back after my wife died, this is about 10 years ago, my wife died. I sat around the house for about 3 years. I was starting to have my butt root into the sofa watching TV. I said, I got to do something. And I really need a little extra side hustle, a little extra money. So I went to work part-time at Home Depot. And I was the greeter at the Market Street store at the main door. And I did that for about 4 years, 5 years, somewhere in that range. I didn't quite make the 5-year mark. I was close. I had injured my knee in a forklift operation for the American Red Cross. And so I had to have, I was looking at knee surgery, and they did a little minor surgery on my knee. My insurance company then dropped the doctor that was doing that, and I had to go to a new doctor. The new doctor decided I needed a knee replacement. So I said, how long does the knee last? And they gave me an estimated time, and I'm trying to figure out, well, how old will I be when that thing wears out, and can I go through another surgery? And I decided I didn't want to go through another surgery, when I get that old. So what I decided was, my knee is not hurting that bad, and it's going to have to get worse, lots worse, or I go get a knee replacement. So anyway, Home Depot wouldn't let me come back to work till I got a doctor's release to come back to work. Doctor wouldn't sign the release without the surgery. So we're at a stalemate. I haven't been back to Home Depot yet, and it's been 5 years almost. So anyway, but this story takes place at Home Depot while I was working as the greeter. I had gotten there early in the morning. It was kind of cool that day. Seemed like it was maybe late-ish October, maybe November. We were wearing jackets. I had a jacket on, and I had punched into the time clock. Now, I didn't know what happened with the gentleman I walked out with, but one of the guys I worked with had been working with him for about 3 years. We got together. We started walking to our locations, and I have to walk clear across the store because where the time clock room is in the back southwest corner, and my workstation is the northeast corner of the store. So, it's 180 degrees nearly. And on the east side of the building was the garden center. So he worked in the garden center. He's headed for the garden center. We walk down the central aisle together, and I'm chatting. I didn't notice that he really didn't talk to me. I just, kind of chatting up with him. And anyway, when we got to my location, he kept going out to the garden center, and I said goodbye to him. You have a great day. Well, a little time went by, a couple hours. I think this was about 7ish in the morning, about 9ish. Store manager came by and said, so-and-so won't be coming in today. He died, or so-and-so died. I thought, what? So I had just walked out with him 2 hours ago. I knew he was in the store. I didn't see an ambulance come up. How did they pick him up? Oh, he died at home in his sleep. I didn't say anything. I didn't tell him the story about walking out with this dude. And I didn't, because everybody would think I was totally crazy, and they probably would have replaced me, and they wouldn't want me back at the store. So anyway, this is my paranormal tale of the day. He totally looked like a full figure, looked solid to me. I noticed nothing wrong with him, but I can't recall whether he talked back to me. I thought he did when I was thinking about it. I thought he talked back, answered some of my questions, or that we chit-chatted. But in reflection, I'm not 100% sure. So I can't say that he actually responded to my talking. But anyway, you could have knocked me over with a feather. Okay, Bubba, what do you say to that? Oh, I think Bubba went to sleep on me.
No, he didn't.
Oh,
I'm trying to digest this.
Okay.
So, what's your thought on that?
Well,
you don't know if he talked back. You don't know if he talked back.
I can't recall that he did, but I would think that I would have thought it was, more peculiar at the time if he hadn't, is what I'm thinking. So I'm thinking he did say something, but whatever he said, I can't remember if he said anything at all. Maybe it was he just looked at me, maybe gave me a facial.
You saw him in a physical form.
Absolutely, totally, just like he was real. That's why I couldn't believe he was dead when they told me he was dead.
I would have punched that clock out. I would have took off that day. After that, I can't handle this. Because, is there any explanation to that? What would be your thought on that?
My thought is that perhaps the guy, even though he was deceased, that his energy was still earthbound and at his location, and he heard the alarm go off. And I think he just went on his regular routine, and he came to the store and walked through the store with me because he didn't know he had died during the night. Now, I'm sure that probably when his wife discovered his body that morning and they called the store and said he won't be coming, maybe that drew him back or whatever. I have no clue. This is one of the unexplained things about the paranormal that we just don't understand.
So did you shake hands? Did you touch him?
I don't recall touching him, but he was so solid. I don't touch a lot of people, except if I'm really close to him. I might give him a hug, but he and I weren't that close. We had just worked together. We were more acquaintances. But I certainly knew who he was. There's no way I misidentified somebody else thinking it was him. It was him, absolutely him.
So do you think that he didn't want to cross over?
Well, I don't think he knew he was dead till his wife discovered him. And maybe when she discovered him, she called the fire department or she called whoever, and they sent a medical examiner out or whatever procedure they were following. Back when I was a rescue captain in the fire department, a lot of times when people were found dead, they called the fire department. Our fire department responded, and sometimes we would just go in the room, and if they were cold, there was no chance of resuscitating them. We just kind of closed the door and waited for the medical examiner. There was nothing we could really do. There was no hope of anything happening.
Yeah. So you didn't touch him?
No, I did not touch him.
That you remember?
Yeah. No. If I had touched him, I don't know if he would have felt solid. I don't know if my hand would have gone through him. Maybe I would have been aware. Maybe I need to start touching people when I see them,
Yeah. I believe from now on I'm going to touch people.
Okay.
So there's no explanation to really anything that's paranormal. It's just the unknown,
It's
right?
mostly theories. Most everything has theories behind it. Now, some of the theories are based on, in part on what we do know, but we don't know everything about it. We just are working with some theories. And that's why we need to be unified. We need to be sharing information with each other. And like these podcasts, I've shared some information here. Somebody might get hold of me and come back with some information that might be helpful in this instance. Then I learn more. I learned some things today. One of the things I learned today was in a podcast that I watched this morning. And it was about a guy in California that does some demon work or evil spirits. And he was talking about that a lot of times what these demons attach you to is trauma. That if you've had an event in your life where you have a traumatic happening, it leaves kind of, it damages you, maybe emotionally or whatever. But that's a spot that an evil spirit, where you're weak, and they can attach there. So a lot of times when you have an evil person or evil entity attached to you, it may happen multiple times, because if you've had trauma in your life, 3 or 4 times, I've got a lady I'm talking to right now who has, and we were talking about this very thing today after I had this podcast. And I thought maybe this podcast was, it was timely for me to hit it, so I would be ready to talk with her with information, the latest information I've heard. So anyway, if this is true, and I don't know that it's true, it was just his theory. If you have a damaged spot that they can attach to, and he was saying that often these entities come back over time, and I know that this is generally happens, is that they come back off and on. And so it could be months or something, but they come back for each of the traumatic experiences you've had, and they attach to that location in your psychic that has traumatic damage to it. And that's how they're able to attach. When the demonologist comes out, what he is doing is trying to figure out what they're attaching to and close that door so that, the next time they come, it won't be through that door. It'll have to be another location where you're damaged. So it might take 5 or 6 times. It might take a dozen times, and maybe only one. So there's no way to predict how many times the demonologist is going to have to work to get a evil entity to leave. You just have to come back whenever they come back. So that was something interesting. And I know that in my experience, or from what I've seen, now I've tried to stay away from demons or things even. Of course, when I've gone out to some of these locations, nothing really tries to attach to me. I think my religion is strong enough, and perhaps I don't have any of these locations for them to attach to, or my spirituality is strong enough that it's healed, and so they don't attach to me. I have no fear of them. I feel very confident that they will leave me alone. And whenever I go in, they seem to just disappear. I don't even see them. I can't locate them. I can't identify that they're there. There's no activity while I'm there. So a lot of these times when I go, I'm reluctant to go because I know that I get this reaction whenever I go. So I would have to send somebody that they kind of respond to, or that they feel comfortable enough to work around. So that was something I learned today.
So you kept on saying demonic. So is this a fight between good and evil, God and Satan? Because you said demonic a lot. So is it demonic?
Well, by evil spirit, it covers a broad range, but mostly I'm saying that these things are demonic, yes.
So shouldn't we stay away from that?
Well,
I mean, I know you're gonna encounter them,
yeah,
and you never know when you go
yeah,
what it is.
yeah,
And I don't understand that really, because I thought when you die, like Home Depot guy, that you die. And then you're saying he didn't want to cross over, and it was a routine that he had, punching in the clock, same time. And I've done that. I've had. I don't even need to set an alarm clock when I had to go to the radio station.
yeah,
I just woke up because that's your clock.
yeah.
So you're saying that he didn't want to cross over, or he didn't know he was dead?
He just
I
didn't
don't
know he was
understand.
dead. He did not know. That's what I'm saying on his case. That makes sense to me. I can't prove it. I mean, it's the only way I can explain it in my mind.
Huh. I ain't got nothing on that. If you don't know, I know I don't know.
Yeah. Well,
But I guess that's what supernatural, paranormal, ghost, spirit, that kind of thing, because that's in the Bible.
yes.
And it's all throughout the Bible about witchcraft and all that, and the evil. Well, God doesn't do that. That's not God.
No.
So it has to be demonic.
Yeah.
And so, well, how do you deal with that? I mean, when you know you're dealing with pretty much Satan himself.
Well, like I told you.
That makes sense.
Well, I understand your question. Here's the thing. Back when I was drinking, and I used to drink a lot, I've told you several times the devil and I were drinking buddies, and I know where he lives. I've been to his home many times, and it's at the bottom of the bottle. So I know where Satan is. I could find him anytime I wanted to find him. I don't want to find him. So, I don't go looking for him. And I haven't had a drink since Halloween night, 1978. So that's been a few years back. And I have never had any issues. I haven't gone looking for him, and he hasn't come looking for me. So, he avoids me like the plague. I don't know. I think that I had my come to Jesus moment in 1978. And hey, I haven't looked back.
Yeah, I've told you many a time, that's a country song right there. The devil is at the bottom of the bottle.
So anyway, that's my feeling about the situation. But, other people may have different experiences. Now, I've noticed that some of the people that have these demonic experiences have been on drugs. Some have been alcoholic in nature, and some have had mental issues. But again, if these things attach to traumatic experiences that are in your energy level, in your psyche, then it makes sense that all these people have those vulnerabilities. And of course, if they're on drugs and doing alcohol and going into depression and things, that certainly makes them very vulnerable to a demonic takeover. I'm not saying everybody that is taken over has that issue, but there's a definite pattern there,
Oh, I agree. Everything you said is the common denominator.
For the most part.
Drugs,
and there
depression, alcohol, whatever it is,
and
that there's an issue they have. And I don't understand. Still getting back to, I still can't wrap my head around Home Depot man, lawn and garden man. Yeah. I don't think I'm gonna go into the home and garden section of Home Depot ever again.
Well, I'm sure it's happened at Walmart.
Oh, yeah. Well, I don't like Walmart, so there you go.
Oh, now you're always going to Walmart. You're telling me all the time you're in Walmart.
Well, I always said that if you have low self-esteem and you feel like Eeyore, woe is me, I don't know what I'm going to do, go to Walmart. Your self-esteem will build up when you come out. When you look at all those Walmartians that are in there, you'll feel like a better person. That's the only reason I'd go to Walmart. And I call it the Walmart. But it's just crazy to see these people that are in pajamas and got 5 kids that are in pajamas and they're in Walmart. But anyway, back to the point. I just don't really understand the part of not wanting to pass over. If you're dead, you're dead, isn't my thought pattern. I don't know. I ain't never been dead. Okay. I never had a near-death experience, kind of a thing. I haven't had any of that. I've lived a really good life. But I'm sure that if you experience it, literally experience it, then you will understand. You will know, because we're just humans. We're not, and the Bible says we're filthy rags. We're nothing. We don't know anything. We really don't. We just know what our brains can handle. But, the supernatural, the paranormal, the spirits, the ghosts. I mean, the Bible says Father, Son, Holy Ghost. Well, there you go. So I just don't understand how somebody cannot know that they're dead. I can't wrap my head around that.
Well, they were asleep.
And how you saw that guy and how you saw that guy at Home Depot.
Yeah.
I can't wrap my head around that.
He died in his sleep. So when he woke up or became conscious, he went to work. He had no idea he was dead, and it was just like any other morning to him. So that's why he didn't know he was dead. Now, some people that don't want to cross over, let's say you have a big skeleton in your closet, and you know that when you get to the pearly gates, God isn't going to let you in, or St. Peter isn't going to let you in. Whoever's guarding the gate is not going to let you in. Okay?
Yeah.
So if you go looking for a gate to go through, the only one that's going to open for you is hell. And you don't want to go there, so wouldn't it be better to be earthbound? Hello? You there? You muted yourself. No, you're open. What happened? Speak to me. Bubba, I can't hear you. Okay, Bubba dropped off. I lost him. Anyway, I hope that explains it to Bubba. We'll catch y'all next week. Next week, we'll have the Practicing Witch on, and I hope you'll tune in and learn something about witchcraft. I know we've got some people that are interested in witchcraft as to they feel like they've been affected by witchcraft.